Do you like scary stories? Well, today we will be looking at some scary facts about the pharaohs of Egypt. These stories have been told for centuries and are still scary to this day. Let's get into it. No. 10. A pharaoh's curse. It is said that if anyone disturbs the pharaoh's tomb, they will be cursed. The death of Cleopatra has been a source of fascination and mystery for centuries. According to Roman historian Plutarch, Cleopatra's decision to trust a simple note from Octavian, now known as Augustus Caesar, led to her demise. This sculpture was found in the 19th century, but it remained hidden until 1940 when it was brought to light by a French Egyptologist. It is said that once someone sits on the sculpture, they will become cursed. The Red Chapel is located deep within the bowels of the earth and was discovered in 1907 by a team of archaeologists. In fact, the bones of two young boys were found near the entrance. This means that whoever was responsible for burying Tutankhamun may have buried them alive. It's not exactly clear why this would have happened, but it was most likely done to protect the pharaoh's resting place. It's possible that the robbers hoped that by burying the young boys at the entrance, they would deter future tomb raiders. Unfortunately, this didn't work because centuries later, Howard Carter found the tomb. It is covered with strange symbols and nobody knows what they mean. You may be wondering why pharaohs sometimes don't have organs. This was actually done on purpose. It was customary to remove certain organs during the mummification process. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. See you next time. The brain was considered unimportant, so it was removed through the nose. The internal organs were removed through an incision in the left side of the body. Then they were washed and placed in separate containers. The reason for this was because the Egyptians believed that the body needed to be perfect in order to reach the afterlife. They also believed that the organs would continue to decay, so it was better to remove them. Nobody is sure exactly why it's called the Red Chapel, but it's probably because of all the red sandstone used to build it. They can then use this DNA to find out all sorts of information, such as the mummy's gender and whether or not they had any genetic disorders. But there is a much darker side to this technology. What if someone were to use this DNA to bring an ancient Egyptian back to life? Of course, this is just a hypothetical question, but it's still an interesting one. If we were able to bring an ancient Egyptian back to life, would they be friendly or would they be hostile? Would they want to help us or would they want to destroy us? The truth is we simply don't know. But one thing is for sure, it would be an experience like no other. Ever since it was discovered, several explorers have entered the chapel and bad things have happened to all of them. For example, one explorer, Basil Brown, died while trying to leave the chapel. His flashlight flickered and died, plunging him into total darkness. Without his flashlight, he was unable to escape the maze like tunnels and eventually lost his way. He ran out of air, started to panic, and ultimately died. This legend has led to many people avoiding this artifact at all costs. There is absolutely no proof that the statue is cursed, but many people believe that touching it will bring them bad luck. It's unclear where this belief came from, but it's probably just a myth that has grown over time. When Octavian was about to defeat her forces in battle, he sent Cleopatra a letter informing her that he would spare her life and grant her forgiveness if she surrendered. It dates back almost 3,000 years and was crafted out of pure gold. The mask is adorned with precious gems and is considered to be one of the most beautiful pieces of art ever created. The mask was discovered in the tomb of Tutankhamun in 1924, and soon after, the curator of the museum where it was being displayed, E.T. Wright, died suddenly. People started to believe that the mask was cursed. This led to the mask being hidden away for decades. It was NT until 1972 that the curse was eventually lifted and the mask was put back on display. Unfortunately, Cleopatra, who was suspicious by nature, ended up believing that it was a trap and didn't surrender. Instead, she fought until the bitter end. She ultimately lost the battle, and rather than surrendering, she chose to take her own life. However, other historians disagree with this account. They claim that Octavian had already made it clear that he planned to execute Cleopatra, so she knew what would happen if she was captured. According to them, she most likely took her own life before the battle even began, drinking a vial of poison. But how did this poison kill her? We don't know for sure. Some believe it was cyanide, but others think it was a type of toxin derived from the Egyptian lotus flower. The first person to discover the tomb in over 2,000 years was Howard Carter. It tells the story of a museum curator named Arno Searle. He opened the mummy's case of a priestess, Rostat, and put her on display. Unfortunately for him, this was a big mistake because not long after, he started experiencing strange events. For example, he kept hearing chains dragging metal moans. He would often wake up in the night and find scratches on his body. Then his friends and family started dying under mysterious circumstances. At first, he thought this was just a coincidence. However, he soon realized that it might be the work of Rostan, whose mummy he had disturbed. To make things worse, one of his colleagues, Eugene, didn't believe him when he told him about the haunting. Eugene went ahead and opened the mummies of two children, Takabuti and Hapi. Soon after, he started to experience similar hauntings. The ghost of Rostat was apparently angry that her mummified remains had been disturbed, and so she was taking her revenge. He discovered the tomb in November of 1922. At first, nothing seemed to happen to him. However, less than a year later, he developed malaria and had to spend much of his time in hospital. Unfortunately, it wasn't only Carter who suffered. Lord Carnarvon, who was the man funding the dig, was bitten by a mosquito, and this turned into a deadly infection, leading to his death. After this, the media began to run wild with stories of the curse, which certainly didn't help matters. Many people believed that anyone who had anything to do with the tomb would die. Even Tutankhamun's daughter was apparently cursed to never marry. While some dismissed the stories as nonsense, others took it very seriously. As a result, many people refused to work at the dig site. The story has continued to live on, even though there is no evidence to support it. This is one of the most famous curses in history. In 1872, a British diplomat visited the Great Pyramid of Giza. It was during his visit that he noticed a small hole that had been drilled into the wall. He decided to look through it with his cane and found it was just big enough for him to crawl through. And so he did. After crawling through the narrow passageways inside the pyramid, he ended up in an underground chamber filled with sarcophagi. There were also hieroglyphics covering the walls depicting various scenes from Egyptian mythology. One of these showed a man being chased by a jackal, and another showed a man being attacked by a snake. According to reports, after this discovery, the diplomat started suffering from strange illnesses, including painful ulcers and severe diarrhea. He died soon afterwards. Not long after that, two of his friends who went exploring with him also died under mysterious circumstances. Some believe the deaths could have been caused by something more natural, such as cholera, or perhaps they simply became lost and perished due to dehydration. However, the story has led to rumors that there is a curse placed on those who disturb the pharaohs. This may explain why several explorers and archaeologists have seemingly met their end while studying the pyramids. Number 9. Tutankhamun's Curse. This is one of the most famous curses of all time. No. 8. A mysterious death. Number 7. The Curse of the Mummies. This is one of the scariest legends of all time. Number 6. The Mystery of Ramses the Pigeon. Ramses the Pigeon is considered to be one of the most bizarre archaeological discoveries of the 20th century. No. 5. The Curse of the Golden Mask. The Golden Mask of Tutankhamun is one of the most valuable artifacts ever discovered in Egypt. Number 4. The Red Chapel. Legend has it that anyone who enters the Red Chapel will suffer horrible misfortune. Number 3. Buried Alive. King Tut's tomb was only discovered in 1922, but it's possible that it was robbed long before this. No. 2. The case of the missing organs. No. 1. Ancient DNA. In recent years, scientists have been able to extract DNA from ancient mummies. Thanks for watching.